Hello everybody and welcome back to Hearts of Iron. There we go. Let's get this into the correct mode. Fantastic. That was a little bit exciting. I might have to mess with those keybinds a little bit, but that is completely okay. We are currently working on our early game infrastructure here in Brazil, and we are, of course, working on stockpiling a few weapons, working on our civilian factories, and we're saving up political power right now. Now, it looks like, based on the comments on the last video, most people are recommending going fascist, and that's okay. We can definitely work on that. That's going to be a little while before we can really get that started, though, because that's going to take another 150 political power, and I think I would prefer to move us to early mobilization first, so that we can construct faster and have fewer consumer goods factories, which makes us construct even faster. So I think this is our first priority. And I do think that moving to partial mobilization fairly early on is going to be important. There's not really all that much for penalties as we go further down here. So moving our economy law is going to be fairly important, but I also want to at least get a fascist reformer in here as soon as possible. That said, we can always start working down political effort, which will give us political power and collectivist ethos, and start moving into the nationalism focus to move down that particular tree. So I think that'll be great, and we can work on that, but I do think that we should absolutely do these economic structures first. So that will be our focus for the next little while here. We do have several years before the war breaks out, and the plan is kind of lay low until Germany makes everyone super upset, and then just start doing our own thing. Are we going to join the Axis? That's a question, isn't it? It's going to be a little while before that's a relevant question, so I think I'll leave that up to you guys. If you want us to join the Axis, or not, leave a comment, let me know. We could create our own faction. We could join the Axis. These are options that we have. We could try to stay independent. The Second London Naval Treaty has been signed. Delegations from Britain, France, Italy, Japan, and the US met in December of 1935 to discuss a renewal of the First London Naval Treaty, which restricted the number and size of cruisers and submarines. Negotiations turned quite heated over Italy's war in Ethiopia, which is now over, and Japan's desire to be seen as equal to Britain and the US. With negotiations now at an end, the signatory nations have agreed on limits to the size of battleships and aircraft carriers in the hopes of preventing another ruinous arms race. More money for the army, then. Indeed. Interesting. And just for the record, because this is my first time playing through this properly with like the historical settings, I am going to be reading through those news bits just to give us a little bit of historical context for people who are not tremendously familiar with this time period, which includes myself in terms of the political structures for sure. So that's something I'm very interested in. We are up to 139 political power right now, and we're going to do something with that pretty soon. That is continuing to tick up, and we are going to be finishing our first consumer factory quite soon, and that's great. That means that our next factory will go that much faster. That 30% civilian economy speed construction malice, that does definitely hurt. And that's a big part of the reason why I want to go to civilian economy, because that will reduce that to a 10% malice, which will be much, much better. And in general, this is just a straight upgrade all the way down, from what I can tell. It is the conscription law that is not a straight upgrade. So as we can see here, limited conscription is fine. That's 2.5% recruitable and absolutely no malices. Once we go up to extensive conscription, that's when training time starts to go up, and we start to get some pretty bad malices there. So we're probably going to try to chill on limited conscription, but that is not a priority for right now. Now our construction effort has just finished up, and that is wonderful. That means that we got a free civilian factory, which is now being used to construct our additional civilian factories. And we, of course, need to work on our next national focus. Should we grab political effort right now for the political power and then go back to the economy? This will get us basically a free reform. That'll allow us to adopt fascism faster, but is that actually good before the United States has committed to what they're going to do? I feel like we need to lay low. The United States is definitely going to be problematic if they take notice of us, so I think I'm going to go for construction effort here. We're just investing in our infrastructure and economy, US. You don't need to do anything. They don't have a national focus. They'll probably set one here in a moment. War Department. Okay. So if we look at their tree here, we can see that that's going to give them command power. Sure. So they're not really doing anything too major right now, and that's not shocking. We'll see what they end up doing. But they're the ones that we're really going to need to keep an eye on. And to that end, at some point fairly soon, we should probably create an intelligence agency. Ooh, we've got our 150 here. I'm going to bump this up to early mobilization immediately. Fantastic. So that means that we will be constructing much faster. We're now up to 13 factories constructing, and this will be done on 7 June. And our malice has been reduced as well, so that is absolutely great. We need all of this construction to get finished up. Actually, it's not that much construction, but we need all of this construction finished up before we can really start thinking about getting belligerent. And we'll probably start switching some of these civilian factories over to military factories because we don't have many of those. But that said, civilian factories are very important to have. Construction 1 is going to be finishing in 8 days. That's a big deal as well. So that's fantastic. We're going to need to start stockpiling airplanes as well. We are currently producing just infantry equipment. We're going to need infantry equipment. We're going to need tank equipment. We're going to need artillery equipment. We're going to need aircraft equipment. And we're going to need probably cruisers, battleships, carriers, subs, all of that sort of nonsense down here. It's going to be pretty extensive, our needs. They're going to be quite extensive indeed. Now, we are currently short on steel. And we'd have to trade with the United States for that. I don't know that I like trading a civilian factory away. I think we're going to hold off on that since we're just stockpiling for right now. Yeah, it's going to hurt our production, particularly on our cruisers and convoys, but I think that's fine. So there's our construction 1 finishing up, and we definitely, I think, want to grab... let's see here. This is a little ahead of time. We could do resource gain efficiency. That would be handy. Or we could do production efficiency cap, and I think we're going to grab that first. And then after that, we may do resource efficiency. We're only short on steel right now. Do we have any steel production of our own? Where's our resource map mode? Here it is. Yeah, we have steel production down here. But that's pretty much it. Okay, so increasing our steel production efficiency would be nice, but I don't feel like it's strictly speaking necessary. Fine. That's absolutely fine. So we're going to finish our next construction effort here in about 30 days or so. And I feel like this is going quite well. We now are up to 14 factories constructing here, so we're almost at maximum construction speed. And we are going to have the next one done on 8 September 1936. So this snowball is just going to continue on rolling. And I'm very, very happy about that. Now we're going to be able to build anti-air in some of these locations as well, and we're probably going to want to do that. Air bases will be able to be constructed as well. We'll think about those in a little while, I feel like. I'm not too concerned about them just yet, and we don't have radar yet, but anti-air would not necessarily be a bad thing. We're going to wait to queue that up until we're a little further through our construction here, I feel like. How's our training going? Do we have enough equipment for that yet? No, we do not. This isn't super shocking, I suppose. I feel like once we get another factory completed after this one, I feel like at that point we trade for steel. But I definitely want to get a full construction on our factories as soon as we can. So we'll wait until we have one extra constructing on this slot for us to trade for the steel so that we can get underway with our military production a little bit more. I think that's the goal right now. We're more focused on our economy for the moment. And that's because we're going to need it. We are absolutely going to need it. Germany, what are you up to? Being a jerk? I'm assuming they're being a jerk. United States is getting close to done with War Department. That's great. Our construction effort is getting close to done as well. We do need to work pretty heavily on this. We, of course, currently have 20 factories available for construction. 6 of those are being used by our consumer goods. Here's the question. Do we grab a fascist demagogue next and start working on that? Or do we bump down to partial mobilization? Now that's only going to be a 10% bump to our civilian factory construction speed. So that's not going to be huge, but I feel like we do that. We're going to need to be fascist for war economy, though. So that's good to know. We're going to want to jump to limited conscription, not super soon, but quasi-soon. We're just trying to figure out how we want to spend this early political power, right? Oh, hello. What's this? This is a peace deal? Ah, nationalist Spain is happening. Excellent. So this is a thing that is occurring, and we are going to mostly ignore it. We're just going to observe. It'll be interesting to see what happens. Nationalist Spain is probably going to win, but we'll see. So we'll keep a bit of an eye on that. We're up to 65 political power here. That's nice. And this construction is proceeding. I'm going to bump it up to speed 4 because we're mostly just waiting right now. Yeah, this is, I think, not going to go well for a non-nationalist Spain. For regular Spain? Is that their name? Just Spain? Yeah, Spain and nationalist Spain. That's what it is. Yeah, you can see here they're already collapsing in Asturias. There's our construction effort finished up, and we are going to go ahead and grab infrastructure effort next. And that's wonderful. That'll give us some infrastructure. Always going to be handy, and we'll just keep an eye on this for now. We don't really need to look at our own country for the moment. Excellent. And that infrastructure effort is well underway. We should check to see what the United States is doing next. Air War Plans Division. Okay, so they're working on their air doctrine. Good to know. We're going to be pretty unlikely to keep up with them in the air for a while. Definitely looks like Asturias is collapsing here. Basic machine tools. Fantastic. So that is that completed, of course. This is a little ahead of time still. Do we go for concentrated industry here for max factories in a state and factory output? I feel like we do. Let's do it. It may come back to bite us later on, but we'll see how that goes. Excellent. So we are currently up to 90 political power, and that is going to continue to rise. I do think that we should probably... the Olympiad. The 11th Olympic Games were recently held in Berlin, Germany. Attended by athletes from 49 different nations across the world, the 1936 Summer Olympics are the first in history to have enjoyed limited live television coverage. The Games were a significant propaganda victory for the German regime, which spent lavishly on the event. German athletes saw the most success, winning 33 gold medals, while the Americans came in second, with 24. 4 of these were won by Jesse Owens, the single most successful athlete of the Games. The Games are concluded. Okay, so nationalist Spain is, I think, winning here. That's fairly clear. I do think that we should probably get our fascist demagogue next and then bump down to partial mobilization, since we need to have a ruling party be fascist in order to go to the war economy. So that's something that we'll do, and then after we go to the war economy, or rather, after we go to partial mobilization, we can think about going to limited conscription at that point. Excellent. So looking at our construction, this has finished up. That's great. 2 December is when our next factory is going to complete. And that's going fairly nicely. We are, of course, offsetting our early mobilization malus by our construction bonus. So that's great. That is absolutely great. And the next one that we get, we can trade away for some steel. That'll do the trick. We are at 125 political power right now. Our infrastructure effort will be done in 20 days, and about that same time, we can put in our fascist demagogue. Who else would we potentially want here? This guy would be pretty good, potentially. Yeah, that would be a nice one to get next. And of course, we're going to have to add all of our designers and theorists and our army chiefs and all this stuff. That is all things that we can do with the political power. I just want to focus on a few economic things early on so that we can easily crush some of our neighbors and get the ball rolling down here, hopefully without the United States intervening. That's the idea here. I thought I just saw some changes over here. It may have just been a flash of lightning. It's hard to tell. I'm not super familiar with the Hoi 4 map, so I can't really speak to it, but I think this is approximately how it was. Hard to say. Regardless, we are at 144 political power. There's our mechanical computing done, and we are going to go ahead and work on, I think... Reinforce rate is nice. But maybe we should come in here and start working on excavation. I think we will. Fantastic. So with that underway, that's great. Infrastructure effort has, of course, finished up. And we are going to grab construction effort 3 next to get 2 free civilian factories. Wonderful. And let's take forward 3 more days here to get ourselves the political power that we need to put in our fascist demagogue. And that'll be this guy here. And he's going to just start slowly drifting us over. Very, very slowly. It's going to take time, and that's good. That is what we want. We don't want to be super overt with this right now. We want to just ease in. Excellent. Partial mobilization is our next goal, for sure, as far as political power goes. Our techs are still a little ways away here, and that's fine. And we are a little ways away from completing our next civilian factory as well. In fact, I think we're going to get these 2 civilian factories done before we finish the construction. So we are going to trade one of these away that we get. That'll be fine. And that will, of course, be for steel. We have a need for steel right now. Our training is... is ongoing, I suppose. Yeah, that's ongoing. Well, let's go ahead and hop into our default map mode here. There we go. And once we get another one after that... Well, actually, we probably want to create our agency fairly soon after we get construction effort 3, I think. Let's see here. Yeah, this is the last construction effort. So I think that's definitely what we want. But we definitely want to work our way all the way through the industrial effort here. Maybe skipping nuclear effort and secret weapons for the time being and coming back to those later. Grabbing, say, perhaps equipment effort and things like that. We want these research slots quite quickly, though, so we're going to definitely beeline for those after construction effort 3. That is 100% going to be the goal there. As soon as this completes, I think we're going to create our spy agency and start putting some spies in the United States. That is definitely something that I'm interested in doing. We're going to guarantee... No, I'm kidding. We're not going to guarantee their independence. It's not a thing that we can do. Even if it was, we wouldn't do it. Like, no one would take that seriously. Decisions are available, but that's fine. Ah, we finished a division here. That's just going to go into our Home Defense Legion here. And it needs a lot more to actually be effective here. But that's fine. So we're just going to continue putting those in there. And, I mean, we're going to continue having some training here. It's mostly a lack of equipment right now that is holding us back on that front, but that will change very, very soon. Excavation will help, but the thing that will really help is the fact that we just finished this up, and we're about to get an additional 2 civilian factories. So I'm going to go ahead right now and create our intelligence agency, and the insignia is, well, we're apparently calling it Rook, so we're going to go for the Rook. Perfect. So that agency is being formed. That will take 5 civilian factories off of our construction. But we're still constructing here at almost full speed, and once we finish this construction effort in 6 more days, then it'll be at 14 out of 15. So that's fantastic. That is absolutely great. Currently at 4 world tension, we are of course just trying to lay low here. Let's check in on Spain. Actually, let's do this first. Infrastructure effort. And let's check in on Spain. Yeah, not much has changed there. Spain is going to collapse fairly soon, I feel like. I think that's pretty clear. Let's go ahead and trade for a unit of steel. We'll trade 1 civilian factory for that. And that gives us 2 surplus steel. Fantastic. That, of course, means that we're back to 12 here in our construction, but that will change once our agency finishes up in just 11 days. And then after that, we are going to be getting a technology to increase our steel gains, but it's not going to do it by much. Unless we can prospect for resources off the back of it, which we may actually be able to do. That would be great if we could. Absolutely fantastic. Okay, so 4 more days on our agency here. And does it require civilian factories to do these upgrades in the agency? I don't remember, but I feel like it didn't, or I didn't care if it did. Let's see here. It does. It requires 5 civilian factories and 10 and 15 down here. Yeah, it gets more expensive towards the end here. So we're going to hold off on those for now. And we do have a locked slot right now. We're recruiting an operative currently. That's fine. So, yep, that is A-okay. That is now complete. We're going to get concentrated industry in a moment here. But I do want to check to see how our production is doing. Yeah, that's doing much better. Much, much better there. Excellent. Concentrated industry will be finishing up now. And what are we going to grab next? Machine tools for more production efficiency? Concentrated industry 2? I think we're going to go for concentrated industry 2 for right now. And we're going to work on constructing down here military factories in locations where we can. And this is only coming in from the concentrated industry, right? Everywhere else here still has civilian factories, and that's fine. But we are going to need a few additional military factories. And we will get some through our focus tree. There's no doubt about that. We're going to get 1, 2, 3 through our focus tree. I can't help but notice that that's not a whole lot. That is certainly not a whole lot. Definitely not. At any rate, it is... Oh, wow, we're becoming a lot more fascist than I was expecting in this amount of time. But, I mean, it's 0.1 per day. So that's 10 days for 1%. That's not super slow, in all honesty. It is, however, about time to put a cut in here. So I'm going to go ahead and do that. And next episode, we are going to continue constructing and getting these factories built just as quick as we can. You can leave your offerings to the engagement gods in the form of likes, comments, subscribes, and bell ringings, and I will see you all next time.